Are we starting?
We're starting now. Let's do it.
We're on?
We're on, bro. Thanks for coming to the pod.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, bro. You're the genesis of all things comedy for me. I don't know how much you know that.
I appreciate that.
When I was like dipping my toes in to see what was what, Tehran made the bold step of being like, come with me. We're going to go check shit out. Took me around to all the clubs, explained how much you got paid.
Yeah.
Made me put it on the back burner for about a
Exactly.
year.
Exactly. Because the assumption is always superstars get paid. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like, oh, fame itself just pays all this money, all this transaction. I know, even for myself, before I was in it, looking at people on TV and being like, oh, all of them are millionaires, right? Because they're on TV. That's the assumption. That is not the case.
Right.
A lot of people you think are stars are living in their cars. Tiffany Haddish is a perfect example of that. That's a real thing. When she talks about living in her car, she means it. I remember. And so, especially with comedy, especially in the city, whether you're in New York, LA, when you're in these cities and you're doing comedy, you think, oh, Kevin Hart, he's at the Comedy Store. He must be getting paid $10 million.
Right.
No, he's getting the same $30 check everyone else is getting.
Yeah, Jamie really broke it down on the last pod, Jamie Kennedy, about like, this is the showcase town, then you go make your money on the road.
On the road, exactly.
Yeah, but everyone in Hollywood, I work with a lot of rappers and a lot of music, and it always seems like, oh, you just must be like 100 million strong or something. And you're like, no, these are people making a living.
A living, a lot of times.
But they're not like private jetting and doing all that
and
stuff.
Those are names. That's not just the beginning, because a lot of people, especially when it comes to rap is one of the things I use as a basis and foundation for so many things.
Yeah.
Because it's such an anomaly when it comes to music. It is the least amount of musical acumen you need to have to be considered a musician. You don't know notes, you don't play an instrument, you don't sing, you don't have a pitch, you literally are a rapper, correct? So it's the basis of what I think is the algorithm for success. You're looking at things that are the small things in order to become, and a lot of people be like, I want to be a rapper. I'm going to be a rapper. Okay. Do you have XYZ? No. Do you have presence on social media? No.
Yeah.
Do you do no, I don't want to do those things. Then you don't want to be, you aren't trying to be a rapper. You just wish you were a rapper. You wish there was a genie that could snap his fingers or her fingers and make you a rapper. That's not the case. Overnight success, 10 years. Takes 10 years.
Right. Do you remember when 50 Cent said, when he first popped off, he was like, hey, anyone getting out of prison, you should just start becoming a rapper.
That's real.
Like, get at me.
That's real, though. Tony Yayo. Yeah. The worst thing to happen to Tony Yayo was getting out of prison. He was the hottest rapper in the streets.
Yeah, he was still hot for a while.
No, let's not do that. All right. let's not. Look, Tony Yayo had a good song, that you can't.
They still play that song.
Yeah, the song that you can't remember the name of. However, that's about it.
But it's got a great beat.
Yeah, it's a great beat.
Yeah. I'll be on fire.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Now, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes potential is, especially in fame, potential is everything.
But you have a history of rap. I remember there was a show we did or something, and there was like a rap off at the end, and everyone's like trying to do it, and you like really did it, and everyone's like, oh, okay, Tehran can rap.
That's so funny. I had a time in my life before I got into comedy. I didn't want to be a rapper, but I did want to be Puff Daddy. Okay. Literally, I wanted to be Puff. That was my goal in life.
Produce.
I wanted to be the producer that doesn't produce, the tastemaker. Right. A lot of people don't know or understand what Puff Daddy has done to cultivate the hip hop culture. He's done so much. And so I wanted to be Puff in all of its glamour, and that didn't work out. I wanted to be Latif. So we wanted to switch places. That's what you wanted to be, Tehran, and do the comedy, and I wanted to be you.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to be me. You wanted to be a more glamorous version
more
of
glamorous.
Me.
I would have made your job more glamorous.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
You settled down.
I could see you doing it.
It would have been my thing. A&Ring, making it, cultivating the trend, knowing what's next. I'm all about that life.
Yeah. You were on Travis Scott before anyone else.
I told everyone, and people looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, this kid is a genius. Yeah. And even as big as Travis Scott is now, I still think he's underrated for what he does. The concept of the visuals, the art, and I don't care about the person, right? I'm talking about the art that he's creating and how unique of a space that it holds in hip hop. And we have these conversations. I have these conversations with older hip hop heads who are like, oh, this music, this new music is trash. This is garbage. I'm like, it's not for you.
Right.
It's not for you. You're 45. Why are you listening to your son's same music? That's not for you.
It's for people who are younger. It always has been.
Exactly. That's when they were listening to Wu-Tang, their parents were like, this is garbage.
Right.
Old Dirty Bastard was mumble rap.
Yeah.
So I said it. Yeah. Don't at me.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He was mumble rap. You're right.
Exactly. So it's about being ahead of the trends and knowing what's next and finding who you are, your voice.
Right.
And that's what you've done lately is you've found this voice and it is growing. People are gravitating towards the Latif.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's working out.
It is working out.
Yeah.
Your comedy spot is like one of the hot shows. People want to do your show.
Yeah, it's become really a thing. Getting a few too many requests, but we had Sam Morril and Taylor Tomlinson on last night, and they both destroyed. It was a great show.
And they're fun.
They're
very good writers. Both of them are very good writers.
It's really funny, and the show's really taken off. And I enjoy doing it. It's in Mansion in Sherman Oaks. We talk about it a lot in the pod, but we'll keep doing it until people stop wanting to come.
Well, I think it's a great space. It's bringing people. It's creating this intimate vibe.
Right.
I've done the show, I think, twice or maybe 3 times.
I remember the first time you're like, I could tell you were like, not sure what this is. And then you grab my arm. You're like, this is amazing.
Yeah, this is amazing. It's amazing. The vision, was amazing.
And I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah,
it
that was it.
Yeah,
just where the location, how it's set up.
Right.
It is very good. And a lot of comedians were wary about, oh, what is this? And then I'm like,
the first time Jamie Kennedy came, I was glad you were there because he's like, okay, cool. I'm not going to get murdered.
Yeah.
At least I recognize
somebody. Because it's a dark house. You go in.
Yeah.
Jamie was like, hey, is this cool? I was like, yes, very, very cool.
Yeah, because I mean, especially like when you're a celebrity, like going to a residence, it's like that can be instantly what the hell is going on.
100%. And it's interesting with comedy. A lot of people always see the glamorized, oh, you're doing Madison Square Garden. Most of your shows are bar shows.
Yeah.
Like I literally did Kennedy Center on a Friday and did a bar show the same night right after I did Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
The Kennedy Center, sold out Kennedy Center with Maz.
Yeah.
And then at a bar show an hour later.
Yeah. I'm doing a dog show tonight.
That's how it works. That's how it works. People don't realize these things when it comes to comedy. And what I really like about what you're doing, especially with the podcast, is people always know about show. They forget about business. It's show business. It's not show. And in fact,
it's show
more
fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's way more business than it is show. And the sooner, faster you get that business part right, the sooner and faster you can get on to what you want to become. And some people, the transition takes 2 decades. Some people 2 weeks. It just depends on who you are.
Yeah, it depends. I think LA always loves the young person, like
100%.
the prodigy story. Like he's 20 and he can't even go to the club, but he's the best.
100%.
LA loves that story, but they also like, if you know how to navigate the landscape. So I feel like I came into comedy with a pretty in-depth like Hollywood knowledge or like industry knowledge. So like I could bypass a lot of like the thinking that gets you trapped, you know what I mean?
100%, because I came in from that background, trying to be Puff, promotion background. I was in DC and came into comedy with that mindset.
Yeah.
And so I jumped on the business part before. To be very honest, I had the show part. Now, I look back on how I was when I started and I thought I was good. I was not. I'm, and I'm just getting good now.
Yeah.
I'm just 10 years later, you're looking at it.
Right.
Who is this? This is the person who deserved the things that I thought I deserved back then. I did not.
I love it when you have a great bit and you're like, I'll never have a bit as good as this one bit. And then you have a better one and you look back, you're like, oh wow.
Look back. I don't even remember what that bit was. I'm like, what did I talk about 8 years ago?
Right.
What did I even talk about? I don't remember. I have so much cultivated now and it moves so fast.
You told me a great story about you when you came to LA for us to get the Laugh Factory show? You willing to share that story?
Yeah, of course.
That's a great story.
So the concept is I was in DC. I was finishing law school. I was trying to figure out what I want to do. And I had worked with artists. And as Latif knows, artists are horrible people. So they are. I know you can't say that. You're still working with them, but I will say that, including ourselves, right?
Okay, yeah.
We're difficult people. If we weren't difficult, we wouldn't be artists.
Right.
That's the mindset. That's the Van Gogh. Let's cut off our ear, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working with artists, and somehow, for some reason, a lot of artists want to self-implode. They just want to ruin something before they even get it, whatever.
Right.
And I was like, I'm done with this rat race. I need to be my own product. What can I do? I was watching Fuse, which is Canadian MTV at that point.
Fuse TV.
No one watched Fuse. I don't even know why I had Fuse. This is 8 years ago, 9 years ago? I don't even know why I had Fuse. No one had
package.
Fuse. It might have been exactly.
Like
and I was like one of the few people who actually paid attention to Fuse. And it was actually because I was working with a group and Young Money, and there was this artist Drake, and he was in Canada at the time. Drake.
Right,
He's a little artist. I don't know if some people know who he is, but at the time he was not big. At the time, people were like, "Oh, who is this guy?"
He's a guy on MySpace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was watching Fuse, and I was figuring out what is my next move. And I saw a comedian, this light-skinned black guy with a fro and a great smile, who's now a good friend of mine, Mikey Winfield, doing a show
where he would do
Winfield. Exactly. Yeah. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Doing a show where he'd do comedy and then introduce a music video. Okay. And I literally thought to myself, if this guy can do it, I can do it. Which is why I believe so heavily in representation. When you see people who look like you on TV. At this point, I wasn't 6, I wasn't 12, I wasn't 15.
Yeah.
You would think I'm not impressionable. No, I was 21, 22, and I saw someone who looked enough like me that I thought I could do what they did. And that's so important. I found out Mikey Winfield is at the Laugh Factory this weekend, the weekend of.
Yeah.
And I flew to the Laugh Factory. And I met Jamie Masada, the owner of the Laugh Factory, the godfather of comedy. There are only certain people who have truly cultured comedy, and some of them, Mitzi Shore, for example, rest her soul, Jamie Masada. These are people who cultivated comedy. So there I am. I meet Jamie. Jamie and I start talking. I pitch an idea for a show on Monday nights at the time.
Yeah.
Monday nights were dark, and I pitch a show. And I talked to him. He has a little more wine. And Jamie, especially at that time, Jamie is now mellowed out. He's a family man. He has kids now. But at the time, this was the guy that every comic tried to get to, and he just was not having it.
Right.
He took
a booker. Oh my God. You just get hit up.
Oh
constantly.
Yeah. 100. You know what it's like now.
Yeah. I mean, I know like 1/100th of what like the people at the store and the improv
or the Michael Coxes of the world feel, you know?
Yeah.
It's just sheesh.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
Yeah. Jamie from Dynasty Typewriter said it's basically your job as a booker is 99% hiding from people or just saying thank you or I will keep you in mind. I mean, I'm horrible because I'll just say no or I'll tell people the truth. And I spoke to Jamie and I'm talking to him and I'm pitching this show because I'm like, when am I ever going to get this opportunity? Right.
By the way, I missed Mikey Winfield's performance because of this. And Jamie goes, you know what, buddy? Fine. Christina Shams, who was my friend who who was the manager at the Laugh Factory, make it happen. And that's how this Persian night on Monday night started.
Comedy Bazaar?
Comedy Bazaar.
Was that the name you had at the time?
It was not the name that I had
what was
at the
name
time.
of the time?
The name I had, I think it was Go Back to Your Country. It was something like that, right?
So there was one night where it was Go Back to Your Country?
No, there was never a Go Back to Your Country. Jamie was like, no, buddy, make it something. And so I think we made it Comedy Bazaar by Monday.
Nice.
By the way, I lived in DC at the time.
Yeah.
Jamie has no idea that I live in DC. Jamie also has no idea that I've never really done comedy.
Right.
I've only performed. Exactly. I mean, he knows now. I've only performed at that time for Max Amini and Maz Jobrani, just hosting their shows when they had come to DC just to see what it was.
Right.
Other than that, had never done anything. Jamie gives me the show. and I use my promotion acumen to book it, and I pack this place. And this is a mindset that I have till this day. And it has to do with, and I remember distinctly explaining this to you. Every show's a bringer show. The only difference is I bring 50 and Kevin Hart brings 50,000, right? So
that's an interesting way to look at it.
I 100% believe that.
Yeah.
Now,
because that's your audience. Like,
there are bringer shows which are looked down upon, which is when you have a bunch of comedians who are very new,
right?
And they have to bring 10 friends who pay in order to get up on stage. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cultivating a fan base, promoting a show like you have with your show, where now people go to your show before they even know who's on the lineup.
Right.
The lineup is actually almost secondary to it's the Latif show. And I'm going because I know Latif is fun, the show is fun, and no matter what's going to happen, it's going to be a good show. I have that confidence.
Right. Yeah, you got to build it. You got to make sure that everyone, I always put the show first. So like even when I'm hosting, I'm like, I'm doing crowd work. I'm finding where the trouble spots are. I'm making sure that the show is always great. So people always want to come back.
Sure. You're curating.
You're curating. And also like one bad experience, people are like, I'll unsubscribe.
100%. And that's all it takes.
You'll never get them back.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
People don't realize, even someone like Chappelle. Remember Chappelle had a show, I believe it was in Detroit, and he just didn't have a good set.
Yeah.
And people were like, Chappelle's falling off. Or Tiffany Haddish had a show in Miami on New Year's and had a good time. So she had a little too much to drink. And so the show wasn't great. And people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. That's how fickle it can be sometimes.
Yeah. And they're on the top level.
And those are A-list.
Yeah.
You're talking about especially when you talk about Chappelle, you're talking about the upper echelon. And when you're talking about Tiffany Haddish, you are talking about the most popular female comedian, let alone just a comedian in the country, possibly the world right now. And still people can turn on them.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think their first comedy show can have an effect on them. Like if they go to some whack show, like on a bad venue where like lighting's bad, the sound is off. They're like, I don't like comedy. Like it can be like that.
It's really like, it's incredible how people are. We're all secretly trolls in real life as well. We just don't.
Yeah, we vote with our feet and our dollars.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what commerce is. It's like, I like this. I like Starbucks. So I'm going to keep going.
It makes it easy
like
for
Coffee
me.
Bean. I'm going to keep going there.
Exactly.
And then those businesses thrive over time.
And that's it. We're voting with our dollars. And when it comes to a show, honestly, this is something I tell all comedians. Every show is a bringer show. Don't just tell me you're talented. Talent, especially in LA, especially in New York, where you get amazing in New York. In New York, you can hit 5 mics a night easily. In LA, you can't. LA is just geographically it's impractical to get from one end of the city to the other. But in New York, you can hit 5 to 8 mics in a night and you get very good.
I think in New York, they trust the brand of the club more.
They're
more. Like, we're going here.
To the cellar.
We're going to the cellar. And then they're like, we don't really care.
And that's what I've tried to do with my nights as well, is they just know it's Tehran night.
Right.
Tehran shows are amazing. Tehran's fun, and whoever he brings, it'll be fun. And even if they're not fun, we will make them fun.
Right.
And that's how it works. However, when it comes to booking, and I want to let everyone understand this, this is going to be my platform.
Yeah.
When it comes to booking, I want to let people understand, because I have 2 shows at the Laugh Factory, and the Comedy Store, let me differentiate the difference, right? So the 3 main clubs in LA are the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, and the Improv. They're the big 3.
Yeah.
And they're all within a 1-mile radius of each other.
Which is weird how that worked out in LA, which is the sprawliest town.
100%. It worked out. But there was this time where the Sunset Strip was extremely lively.
Right.
The way it works is this. The Comedy Store, unlike the Laugh Factory, Comedy Store does 3 shows, 3 rooms: belly room, main room, original room. And they have a rotating lineup, meaning they have basically 20 comics in each room every single night.
Yeah, no host.
No host. Yeah. They tag team for the most part. So they run these shows from 8 o'clock to about 1 o'clock straight through. Of course, it goes longer, but just typically.
Yeah.
So that's 60 comics. The Laugh Factory is 1 room, 4 comics each show, 2 shows a night, 3 shows Friday and Saturday. And then Chocolate Sunday, which is basically its own entity, which is an amazing, amazing show.
Yeah.
And I recommend anyone to go to.
Yeah, one of the hardest shows to get on and one of the best shows.
One of the best shows.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, while the Comedy Store can do 60 comics in one night, the Laugh Factory does 60 comics in a week. Okay? So you're not asking, when you're asking for a spot from me, you're asking to be one of 60, which is in a land of LA, you're talking about out of 6,000. And to be very honest, it's 60,000, but 6,000 qualified people.
Okay.
So you're going up against the spot with people like Chris D'Elia, Tony Rock, Dane Cook, Whitney Cummings, Sherry Shepherd, Finesse Mitchell, Maz Jobrani. You're asking to be one of these people as well. So if you're not one of these people, already think about what you're asking me. I put 4 comedians on my show. Now, one comedian is a Laugh Factory favorite. This is a person who may or may not be hot right now, but has had a time and has had history at the Laugh Factory, and therefore has deserved and earned a spot at the Laugh Factory. Okay? So while they might not have the best career as we're speaking, at one point they were very helpful or intricate to the Laugh Factory, and so they will, and Jamie loves them and their family, and they will always get a spot.
Yeah.
Another comedian, so that's one. Number 2 is going to be the industry favorite, meaning someone from CAA, WME, NBC, Fox, Paradigm, Innovative, 3 Arts. Someone has contacted me and said, hey, Tehran, I see him. I want to have this comedian on so I can watch him. So I put him on or her on because the industry is going to ask me. Now they owe me a favor. But secondly, industry is going to come to watch them, and therefore they're going to watch the rest of the show as well. So that's number 2. Number 3 is a headliner, meaning you have to be Chris D'Elia, you have to be Tony Rock, you have to be Maz Jobrani, Maximini, you have to be Whitney Cummings.
Bonafide draw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be one of these people. If you're not, right? If you're not one of these people, if you're not in that line, that's that spot. So immediately remove yourself from that. And the 4th person is going to be, and this is the person that I really get to choose myself, basically, is the person who I know is talented enough to be on that stage, however, has enough of a draw that people will actually come and they will help my show.
Right.
Meaning if my show has 150 people, an extra 30 people will come because this person's on my lineup.
And discover the show. And,
exactly.
Right.
If you're not one of these 4 people, what are you asking me right now?
For a big favor.
Exactly.
Right.
And while LA is the town of favors, it's not the town of big favors. And I will tell you this, when you watch Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie, you don't see his best friend in the movie.
Right.
That's not how this town works. Sure, everyone knows about their crew, right? There's Leonardo DiCaprio, Tobey Maguire,
you know a lot
Jake
about this.
Gyllenhaal. Yeah, they have a crew. Eve from Entourage, you know.
Do you play cards with them?
I did.
Yeah.
I did actually. And,
did you really?
Yeah, I did. I did. I was definitely there. There's this movie that came out. And I definitely played
like, oh shit,
poker. Yeah, definitely played poker at one of those things. And there's a 5th guy that's actually their friend that we've never heard of.
Right.
How come his best friends aren't putting him in every movie? Because that's not how this town works.
Neil Brennan had a great line. I think it was him where he's like, or it might have been someone else. He's like, I didn't come to LA to do your shit.
100%.
And I think you can kind of get sidetracked in a way. And like, I like doing favors for people. And like, my show's not at a club that has these specific requirements, but the shows are better the more high quality people you put on.
100%. And even with your show, think about your show, which is, by the way, in Sherman Oaks, in a house, seats how many people?
60.
60, right? So this isn't 300 people like the Laugh Factory. It's not that number, right? How many requests from big names do you get every single? And you do the show once a month?
We're
twice a month,
2 to 3 times a month now. So 2 is like perfect. I'll throw in like a 3rd one if some people have asked to do the show that are guaranteed draws.
Exactly.
Because then I'm like, it'll grow the audience and it won't It won't be too high of a demand on my show.
And now that
because then I'll burn the audience if I just put
100%,
I'll just burn the
they
mailing
just won't
list.
come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
You have 2 weeks, two shows a month.
Yeah.
I remember when it was once a month.
Yeah.
And I remember the list of requests you had.
Yeah.
Where people would be like, "Hey, how did you get on the show?" To me.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Bro, what do you mean? How did I get on the show?" You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Not
right.
only is this my boy, but I had to wait.
Yeah.
You know, I had to wait in turn.
I think it's like 100 to 250 a month. People ask
Easily.
Yeah.
And that's your show in Sherman Oaks that you've created out of nothing, which I respect a lot because
Thank you.
no one realizes how difficult that is. People think the concept, if you build it, they will come, really applies to things. It does not unless it's the Field of Dreams. If you build it and promote it and rub their backs and play with their balls and then offer them free drinks and then maybe half of them will show.
Right.
Like it's very difficult to bring people, especially in LA, because LA is very spoiled.
We have a lot of options.
A lot of options.
Yeah.
Any given night, you can see D'Elia at the factory, Rogan at the store with Chappelle as a drop-in, and then go and see Amy Schumer at Improv.
Right.
All within 10 minutes.
I think that the off club shows have the advantage of no parking problems. Usually you can park. No 2-drink minimum. And so you're already saving like $50, right? Maybe more.
Sure.
$60. And it's just like a different low pressure environment. You're not really being sold. So it's just like a different experience. But I'm surprised any show can survive because there's so many good shows.
There's so many shows, and it really depends. And people have theme shows, you know?
Oh, yeah. Those do really well.
Exactly. The Pajama Jam or, you know, Naked Roast or whatever they come up with. People come up with these themes because they have to keep the people motivated, interested.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult. You're doing 2 shows a month. How difficult is it to make sure your shows are filled?
I mean, it's a combination of like mailing lists, social media, etc. But there was one night where what happened was 17 people the day before had only RCP'd, which is low. Because if 17 people RCP, that means like 10 will come.
10.
So
exactly.
I'm like, this is like a cancelable moment. So I'm like, all right, I go to computer, print out a QR code on a piece of paper, make like 100 copies, and I'm running around to coffee shops. I'm seeing people on the street. I'm handing them stuff. I'm making it happen.
By the way, you're an exec. I just want to let people understand who you are doing this.
So I'm like dropping things. This guy probably looks like he likes stuff.
This is a guy who's cultivated big name bands.
Yeah.
And you're handing out flyers.
Because I don't want it to suck. I'm like, the show must go on. It's going to be great. And I don't know if that was the end up driver or just last minute surge, but it ended up being packed. And I was like, we're doing this, you know?
And that's the thing. You have to do that.
Right.
And that's for a show. And it's the coolest. Honestly, it's one of the coolest venues because of the location of the mansion and how you go. And
you get to really bond with the people going downstairs. Cool. Then you go downstairs and you're focused. So you're ready for comedy.
And it's
then
fun.
You can fun, hang.
And you make it very fun. And then afterwards, there's like a little cool, chill hangout thing.
That's turned into like a good hang afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to do that.
I have to do it.
I have to do 2 shows a week where you're like, well, it's at the Laugh Factory. People don't care.
Right.
They
don't
do not care.
No,
they do
that's
not care.
Being at the Laugh Factory is not enough, or any club.
And anyone who's done a show and tried to, there are so many people who are like, oh, I could pack the place. Trust me, we've seen it.
I have a monthly at the Improv Lab, and it's still hard. You have to really get out there.
And the Improv Lab is also one of those 50, 60 seaters.
I think it's at 60 to 70.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's at the Improv. Everyone knows where it is. They have a billboard, an electronic billboard that promotes, and still you have to work.
Yeah. No, you got to work hard.
And numbers, and that's why. And it's hard work. And that doesn't mean when you become Kevin Hart, it's less work.
Right.
It just means you have a team that's helping out. However, you have to continuously build because it is not easy to keep 50,000 people.
Right. To keep the audience the same size, consistency, like to fill whatever you're filling, you have to grow the audience.
Exactly.
Because people leave and they stop. And if you're not constantly growing, you have to grow to stay the same.
Exponentially. That is so real.
You have to grow to stay the same, which
100%.
is crazy. And so I try to like always build new audiences and like try to reach out to people. If I meet someone and I'm like, oh, I think you're going to like the show, etc., come.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And that's, once again, we're getting to the business side.
Yeah.
The business, getting that deal with the club.
Yeah.
Clubs do not want to deal with you.
Yeah.
They have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And so
But that's why the theme shows really cut through the noise, because they're like, I don't think you can really pitch a show that says, what's your plan? Well, I'm going to post it on social media. I'm going to get 5 comics. And
they're like, okay,
you're like,
next.
we can do that by ourselves.
We do this, yes.
Yeah, we don't really need you to do that.
Yes. And the theme shows have been growing recently.
And Friends.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you working hard? Because like I remember we would be on the street out front of the Laugh Factory, and you're like, "Hey, what's up? What are you doing? Oh, give me your phone." And you're like, boom, boom, boom. You give them 100%. They're following you now. You're like, you're not missing opportunities to grow your audience.
I am a consistent, constant brander.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm wearing Tehran all over everything. I'm wearing from my shirt to my bathrobe to my hat.
Yeah,
and it's funny how many people mock it. They're like, there was this one specific instance. I was outside of Laugh Factory, and these girls were taking pictures with me, and one of their friends, who was the hater girl, is like, why do you wear Tehran everywhere?
Yeah.
Why is Tehran in your hat? That's so ugh. And I was like, you are wearing Ralph Lauren. That's literally someone's name.
Yeah.
You're just wearing someone else's name. I'm wearing my own.
Right.
You're literally wearing someone's name.
Do you sell
That's
it?
their government name. I do pop-up stuff, but I don't like selling all my stuff because I want to still stand out and be unique. And I have this secret fear that a light-skinned black guy is going to wear a bathrobe and a Tehran hat, rob a bank.
Stage?
No, they're going to rob a bank, and then I'm going to get blamed. I don't know. Actually,
your name already gets blamed for a lot of shit.
Exactly. My name is the capital of Iran. I have actually on nights that I'm not at the Laugh Factory because I have another show, I don't promote that I'm not there because we've seen a drastic reduction in the crowd size.
Right.
So what I do now is, what makes it fun is I will have a comedian like Brandon Brody or Trey Stewart or someone who actually looks kind of like me.
Yeah.
Go on. Tone Bell did one. They go on stage and they are not Tehran, and it's funny.
Yeah.
And it takes a second for the audience to be like, hey, that's not Tehran. And
they're not sure.
Exactly. And it's funny and it's good and it's all in good fun.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Yeah.
But if you're not constantly promoting yourself or your brand, like it's really hard to build momentum. Like it's social media every day. We kind of have this responsibility to post, this responsibility to put ourselves out there.
100%.
And if you miss like a year of that, you're 1 year behind in a way.
People will ask, because when you're not in it, it seems so foreign.
Right.
It's almost as if when people who don't make music assume that a song took 4 minutes and 33 seconds to make because it's 4 minutes and 33 seconds long. That is not the case at all. There's every song you hear, there's a year that went into it.
Yeah, a lot of time. I remember but also it's changed because it used to be so hard to make a song. Like the equipment's lining up, you're putting in a tape, everything. You press play and the song happens. Everyone's high-fiving and you're like, we made a song. It's got a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You're like, we did it. But now it's like, all right, like anyone can do that.
They can.
The technical. So it's like now you have to be even better. Like that's why Travis Scott is really good, because he produces and does all that stuff. And like we really look at people like on the label side where it's like, if you bring everything to the table, you're so much more powerful.
100%.
Because not only do you know how to do it, when you're working with other people, you know their role. And that's powerful.
Content is king.
And that's why I edit too. I'm like, I want to know how to edit.
Yeah. The first thing I came in and you had the camera set up, I was like, you edit yourself?
Yeah.
And you're like, yes. And I was like, wow. Like of all the things you're talking about, oh yeah, the gram. No, I don't care. You know how to edit?
Yeah.
You edit? That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's so easy now because like you used to have to learn from somebody. And now you just Google, how do I do this thing in Premiere?
YouTube.
Boom. It shows you how to do it.
Yeah.
And the 3-cam editing we were talking about, you just kind of click 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you're done.
It sounds easy, but it's not. And the first step of all of this is the concept of actually just doing stuff. And I'll say it this way. A lot of things are simple, but they're not easy. And people confuse the two as if they're one and the same. They are not.
Right.
Easy is when something is effortless. You literally just do it. It's easy. Okay, drinking water, breathing, whatever. Simple is you know what to do.
Right.
So for example, if I was like Latif, I will give you $10 million to
go on,
leave here and walk to LAX. You would know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it is not easy.
Right.
It would be effort. and you would have to, but you would know how to get there.
Right.
You would, even if you had to walk on the highway for 10 million, be worth it, and you would do it and get there.
Yeah.
However, it would not be easy. And that's what a lot of show business is. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
You literally have to do it.
Yeah, you got to take that first step.
You have to invest in yourself, build your own website.
Yeah.
Social media. You know, there was Matt Rife was there one time, and I don't remember who else was there. Anyway, a young comic came up and took a picture with Justin Bieber.
Okay.
So then a couple at my show, and Justin Bieber used to come to my show all the time, and it was great until he hit paparazzi one day and it went down.
Oh yeah.
But he still came a bunch after that, but not.
Would he sit in the back or the front?
He would sit upstairs. He would sit upstairs and just be very chill, have a great time.
Oh, so like audience doesn't know he's there.
Audience for the most part didn't know he's there unless it's a packed show and they're upstairs. They see him.
Yeah.
And at the time he was dating Selena, and he'd be there.
Yeah.
So a young comic took a picture with Justin Bieber, and then a couple days later, or maybe a week later, I noticed he hadn't posted. I was like, why didn't you post the picture?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, you know, these two other comics, Tom and Mike, for example, they were like, oh, the groupie comic, don't post that picture. They hate when people post that picture.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tom and Mike said that? And I'm just using made up names, Tom and Mike. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to be that guy. And I literally went on their social media and I was like, this guy has 223 followers and this guy has 175. And those are the people you listen to?
Right. It's like, Jay-Z, you're broke. What the fuck are you going to tell me?
Exactly. These are the people you're listening to right now? Like the people who combined have less followers than I have retweets on my post about my show.
Yeah.
Those are the people you're listening to. Okay.
But it's a hard thing. It took me a long time to put myself on my own flyer.
Yes.
Because you have to overcome that. You're like, oh, it's cheesy. Oh, it's this. And you're like, no. And you gotta get over it. And you're like, all right, you have to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Humility.
And Bieber will never see that photo. He will never go through his notifications and know you even posted it.
He may. Actually, I posted a picture of him and he reposted it.
Oh, he
I was
did?
like, oh, hey.
But he knows you from your show.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, he's that. Some people are really good.
Yeah.
You know, you never know when you get noticed by.
Yeah.
That's the thing about today. The society, the world we live in now.
Yeah.
Celebrities are the most accessible they've ever been.
Yeah. And sometimes I DM people. I'm like, I wonder if this guy will do the show. And I just send him a DM. They're like, yeah, I'm down. Like right away. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. All right, cool. You're like a big time dude.
100%. You would be surprised how often you just showing up gets you what you want. Literally just showing up. There's so many people, and I'll tell you, the bigger names are the ones who'll show up and the little names are the ones who flake. And it's just interesting how that works.
It's same with music. It's like the people who are the most difficult are the ones who are in the middle and not made it.
Exactly.
Everyone's like, tell me a diva story. I'm like, no, they're all great.
Exactly.
And they're all just show up and work.
The diva stories are the guy you haven't heard of.
Right. And
for some reason, they're the diva.
Oh, I could tell you 10 of those right now.
Exactly. It's like, I've never understood that. And it's something that I found very interesting, where it's something in the normal world. And I say normal world because we're so used to the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's something like this where you are not 9 to 5. You don't punch in, you don't punch out. I own a business. For example, I own an In-N-Out, or I own a Wendy's, and I'm the cashier, the janitor, the manager, the drive-through girl. I'm everything.
Yeah.
You know, and one. So there is no clocking in, clocking out for me.
Right.
This is all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that don't look like work, they look fun, are actually work.
Yeah.
These parties are networking. The clubs are work.
Right.
The going to the shows and hanging out at comedy clubs, they're work.
Yeah, it's
literally work because you're like, oh, I gotta go.
That's why when things don't work out in entertainment, it's so hard because the failing is in some ways you.
Yeah, that's it.
Like you have no one else. If you have to do everything when something doesn't work, it's kind of like what happened.
You only have to blame yourself. And a lot of people will always blame everything else. But the truth is, the only person you have to blame is you. Everyone can make it.
Right.
And, you know,
I mean, you could have a great, what you have to offer could be perfectly aligned with what the industry is asking for. And that always helps. But that's not usually how it works.
That's not the only thing. Let's look at Sebastian. Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah.
If you knew Sebastian, he was on top of his comedy game 10 years ago, and now it's caught up.
Yeah.
And people are like now catching on. Who's this guy? Oh my God, he's so hilarious. What? what you think? He wasn't this guy then?
Yeah. It's like Wiz. They're like, oh, where'd this Wiz Khalifa guy come from? Oh, he's been doing it for 10 years before you even know his name.
Exactly. Yeah. Drake had been doing it for 10 years. Is that 10 years? Honestly, that outliers.
10-year overnight success.
Exactly. 10 years. Tiffany did it for 22 years.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart did it for 19 years before you even knew who he was. People forget these things.
Right.
And so when it comes to simple and easy, it's simple, but it's not easy. So if you're looking for easy, this is not it. This is not it. And if it is easy, you will lose it.
Right.
It will be gone in an instant. And when you're worrying about like, oh, well, how do I look on camera? So
well, it's such a different kind of pressure on like today's youth in terms of like how they look.
Yeah, of course.
And we care. Thing where you feel like you have to be perfect. Even with the pod, I was like, I'm just gonna start with audio. And then I'll get a video. I put one up camera. I'm like, this looks weird. I'm the next one. I'll do 2 cameras. It's like, oh, let me get a third. And you just kind of keep improving.
Exactly.
It's better to start and then keep improving than just to be so 100%. Worried about like how because I sat around actually, I think I wasted like 7 months where I was like, the theme music isn't right. And my friend's like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, you're calling me out.
That's so real.
Yeah.
Perfection is the enemy of success.
Yeah.
Because if you're waiting for things to get perfect, they never will.
They'll never be perfect.
They'll never be perfect. No. You'll always find something wrong with whatever it is you do. Even Michael Jackson found little things wrong with his music.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
You have to create. You have to just do it.
That's actually why music is not in a way as like music used to capture like a feeling. We're all in the studio. We created this thing and then we're releasing it to the world. Now you can perpetually change and edit. And that's a different kind of mental prison where you'll never release it. And that, like the Blueprint Jay-Z album was done in a week and it captured something. Like that album sounds consistent like a thing.
It is a thing.
And that's going away because you can tweak forever. Like get a song from this guy, get a song from that guy.
But at the same time, it's the most democratic celebrity has ever been.
Yeah. Everything in media is democratic.
Because there's so many outlets, YouTube, SoundCloud, whatever it is. And the difference is, and I believe this, that there will no longer be any superstars anymore going forward, simply because of so many outlets. And for example, my parents might not have ever watched Seinfeld, but if Seinfeld was walking down the street, everyone would have known who Seinfeld was,
right?
Whether they watched the show or not.
Yeah, or Mariah Carey.
Exactly, or whoever it is, MC Hammer, whoever. Now, I could literally be in the line at Trader Joe's, which I never go to, but I could be at Trader Joe's. You know, I'm just not bougie enough for Trader Joe's yet.
Ralph's.
Yeah, I like Ralph's. You know, rock and roll Ralph's is my thing.
That's your DC side.
That's my place.
You don't trust this
exactly.
Joe guy.
I don't trust the Trader Joe's. What are we trading, bro?
Yeah.
You could be in Trader Joe's standing right next to this guy who has 100 million followers on YouTube and have no idea who he is, and no one does.
Yeah. I checked out Trader Joe's on Sunset by the Laugh Factory, and with Chris Pratt, he was right there, and like no one stopped him.
No one's paying attention, and it's interesting. But there was a time where someone like a Michael Jackson wasn't even legally allowed to leave his house.
Oh yeah, dude, it's mayhem.
Yeah,
I mean, I would say Kevin Hart. They still make them, but
I'm saying that's done. Kevin Hart is one.
So he made it in.
He made it in. Tiffany Haddish made it in. Kevin Hart made it in. Drake made it in. Kendrick made it in. Travis made it in.
Yeah.
But going forward, I don't think it's going to be the same. I don't think that Roddy Ricch, who has a great album and is doing great right now, who has a #1 album 5 weeks in a row now, is going to ever be. If he walked down the street, I would have no idea what he looks like.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. No idea. I'd have no idea. I would know what Garth Brooks looks like, and I could not name or have probably never heard a Garth Brooks song.
I mean,
but I would know exactly who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a time when a new pop girl would come out and you're like, she's the biggest thing since sliced bread.
Exactly.
She just came out Monday.
Exactly.
You're like, what?
That's how
they were doing a new one every week. Like, I could probably name 20 of them. You're like, kind of remember them from the 90s.
They were.
But now it's like, let's just double down on a sure thing. Like, established name, because it's like
it works. Fast and Furious 12.
Let's get 20% return instead of making a huge risk and lose it all.
Possibly. Exactly. And it's working that way. And so I feel like celebrity, but at the same time, it's the most accessible it's ever been. Yeah. We can all be celebrities.
We can all have your market, your people who love you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like the 1,000 fans thing.
And I believe that, like, this is the only time where you could be middle class, I feel like, off of celebrity. Before, it was either you're the 1% or you're poor.
Yeah.
You're the homeless girl who's playing the guitar on the side of the street, or you're Jewel.
Interesting.
But now it's like you can make a living because there's so many. You can be on Spotify and just collect from your songs that you put out, and you make a living.
I don't know if that's true, because a lot of like the Spotify, like you used to be able to sell album. We talk about this one analogy a lot here, where it's like you press up your CD, you go on the street, you sell 10,000 copies, and you have $100,000.
Sure.
Now you have 1 million plays, you get $5,000.
Yes.
So it's like, I think some people in celebrity space, you can be a medium celebrity where that just didn't exist. But a lot of the middle's still been hollowed out. So I agree with you that in the celebrity space, like in celebrity space, you can be like a B celebrity and like endorse products. And like I took an acting class with this one guy, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm an influencer celebrity. I've never heard of him, but like people pay him to like post with the photo, and like he does stuff and he's making money. I was like, oh, okay. But like no one on the street knows who he is. But in the music space, it got hollowed out so bad.
Of course, in the music space, it got hollowed out. But at the same time, you can be mediocre and still be in there, when before you couldn't.
You can get through the gate and be like, I'm on Spotify.
Exactly.
Check out my SoundCloud.
So that's why I mean, I didn't say you're upper middle class.
Right.
You're a lower middle class, but there's a lot more of them.
It supplements your Uber income.
Exactly. And it's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you have a very interesting approach to comedy that no one else is doing. Like you're like, in terms of your brand and like your perspective, in terms of like, because you have a show, you came out the gate with a show, you promote yourself kind of differently. Do you feel that it's different, or do you just feel you're doing you and you don't pay attention?
I feel that I'm doing me and I don't really pay attention. In fact, I've wondered why more people aren't doing it this way.
Yeah.
Simply because, so my one show grew to 2 shows, which at the Laugh Factory, Mondays and Thursdays,
every week,
9:45 every single week, which is
that gives me stress just thinking about 8 shows a month.
100%, and it's so difficult.
Yeah,
and my shows do very well. They're known. The concept is getting 2 shows at the Laugh Factory is almost unheard of. No one has 2 shows at the Laugh Factory. So
well, you can't just because of math, right? 7 days a week.
It's 7 days a week. There's only about 14 to 16 shows really.
Yeah.
And so having 2 is a lot for the Laugh Factory, and they're very picky on who they give a show to begin with. And a lot of people, if I had to say what the Laugh Factory was at the High School of Comedy, it'd be the Mean Girls, right? So the Comedy Store is all the popular kids in a way, like the popular kids who were like, they were like the trendy kids, right? The Laugh Factory is the Mean Girls, and then the Improv is like the class president.
Right.
Everyone knows this is the class president. Okay. So it's hard to get to sit at the table with the Mean Girls.
Right.
2 shows. I'm not tooting my horn. What I'm explaining is it's not because I'm amazing. It's because I worked hard. I literally worked hard. You can be LeBron James, or you can just be you can be in the NBA, you could be Steph Curry. Now, before people were like, oh, Steph Curry's amazing. He became amazing. He simply was the guy who practiced the most.
Right. Put in the most work.
He's a 6-foot light-skinned guy.
Yeah.
He's just the guy who literally practiced. The guy who drafted Steph Curry got fired for drafting Steph Curry.
Oh, wow.
They booed him. I remember when he was coming in, they booed him. He was not good when he came in.
Yeah.
He worked so hard that he got good. And there's a commercial, Steph Curry's reading his NBA drafting report.
Yeah.
And he's like, Steph Curry, 6'1", mediocre ball handling skills.
He's only 6'1"?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So it's like 6'1". He's actually maybe 6 foot.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Right.
When I stand next to him, I'm definitely much taller.
Okay.
So
you just dunk on
him. And I'm
him.
6'2". No. Steph is a baller. So you're like, and he's reading, he's like, shooting, but takes too many shots.
Yeah,
this going down the list of horrible.
Right.
Probably
that's his whole style now. It
do,
takes a lot of shots.
Yeah, won't do well in the NBA. That's, and he got an hour, and he's reading this as it's showing highlights of him crossing people up and then winning championship.
Yeah.
And he simply practiced more. And people will be like, well, his dad was in the NBA. It's not like you're inundated by juniors in the NBA.
No one knew his dad was in the NBA till Drake wore that jersey.
Exactly. It's like one of those things. And you know what? Steph Curry has a brother who you don't know.
Right.
So stop doing that. Michael Jordan's sons, by the way, who play ball, are nowhere near the NBA.
Yeah.
They barely made the college.
Sports is still the last meritocracy. Like you can't just put Michael Jordan's sons in the game and be like, cool.
You
But you can
have
still do
to
that in
earn it.
Hollywood a little bit.
A lot.
But
bit.
you're not
A
going to
lot
win.
A
Like
lot
in
bit.
sports, it's like so obvious. Like, yo, he's just not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you can coach. Like that's the closest. But yeah. And so this is a guy who, you know, has a minimal frame. He's not a LeBron specimen of
Yeah.
athletic ability and physical just goddess.
Mhm.
No, he's just a regular guy who
Yeah.
practiced more than anyone else practices
Yeah.
and continues to practice.
I went to my first Laker game last week.
Wow.
I had never been, and it was they're playing the Rockets, and Westbrook was amazing.
What Russell Westbrook is possibly the most athletic human being on the planet.
He made everyone
just
else seem like they're not even playing the same sport.
He's running. It's relentless.
Yeah.
Relentless.
Relentless.
The attitude, the winning out. And, you know, we look at it from our couch and go, oh, why didn't you make that shot? These guys are all amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right.
If you're in the NBA, you're amazing.
Yeah, you're already the 1% of the 1%.
Exactly. So, and that's how it works. And I know in comedy, it seems, oh, anyone can do it. That's because that's how we make it seem.
Right.
And people don't realize the parallel between comedy and songwriting to the point where if a comedian goes on stage and they're like, man, he told that joke before. Yes, he did.
Yeah,
because
that's why it's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he worked on it so much that it became great. The concept is it's just like writing a song. You would never expect a singer to write a new song every single time they hit the stage.
Right.
Come up with a new song, a new hit.
Yeah.
We're writing songs too. It's the same process.
Yeah.
We're writing. It has rhythm. It has beats. It has a bridge and a chorus and everything that you would think a song has. We're doing the same.
Right.
We're cultivating it. We work on it. And then when we deliver it, one of my strongest bits now is one that I got booed for the first time I did it. That is a true story. But
That's
I
how it
just, in
works.
my mind, I knew there was something there. I literally I'd never been booed.
Yeah.
Someone booed me when I did this joke because it was just
At the factory?
at the factory.
Yeah.
They thought it was, and I have a lot of these stories. I'll never forget the time where people are like, have you ever bombed? Yes, I have.
Of course.
And I remember specifically when I bombed.
Yeah.
I remember the specific time.
Right.
Fraser Smith, the host, called me up on stage. Now,
Yeah.
Fraser with the snaps.
Yeah,
Classic,
I love
right?
Fraser.
Fraser's the man. Calls me up on stage as I'm saying no.
Yeah.
I go up on stage and for 5 minutes, I literally bomb. I'm going after Elijah Schlesinger, Chris D'Elia, Gerard Carmichael, I think was on the show.
Okay, yeah.
And they're all like, but they're hitters.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
they're hitting.
On their cusp of popping.
Right.
And then me, and then Dane Cook goes up, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that. It was also, I wasn't ready. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I went up there like, hey.
Right, yeah.
And
the audience can feel that. The second
100%.
you let off the gas that you don't own this 100%, they're like, oh, fuck this guy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
To the point where it wasn't even like they were booing.
Yeah, they don't
They
even
were
know why they
quiet.
don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's and you feel it, they feel it. It's because we're animals. We know when someone's supposed to be where they are or not.
100%.
Yeah.
And then
That's why good
get off
hosting
stage.
is so important.
100% because you set everyone up for
Yeah,
success. And if
yeah.
you're not a good host, you're setting them up for failure.
Yeah.
I get off stage. Dane Cook goes on, crushes.
Yeah.
After Chris had crushed. So these are people that crush. I mean, one time I saw Whitney Cummings do so well, I literally wanted to quit comedy.
Yeah.
I saw Ida Rodriguez do so well, I was like, why are we even the same person right now? Why are we considering ourselves? This is serious.
Right. I love that when that happens though, because it makes you go back and work.
100%.
Like, oh shit.
You have to work.
Yeah.
When I got off stage, I was in my feelings.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And I realized always be ready. I will never let that happen. That was the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I went up there and bombed because I didn't have material. I
Yeah.
went up there and bombed because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. I wasn't in that dog mode. And you have to get in that mode when you're going.
Yeah. It's
on
cheesy,
stage.
but it's like that saying. It's like success is preparation meets opportunity.
100%.
So you got to be prepared because someone will throw you something.
And you have to have, and I RIP Kobe, but that Mamba mentality.
He wants the last shot.
Exactly.
Like, give it to me. I will take it.
I will take it. And from that day on, I became that person. And it honestly transformed my comedy. It was the biggest blessing and a curse I've ever had because it just became where I go on stage and no matter what the room, I will do what I do.
Yeah.
Now, I may or may not succeed, thankfully, I tend to succeed more often, a lot more often, which is why I'm still in this business and known to whatever extent. But the concept is I will do it on my own accord.
Right.
And that's how it is. And that's where, and even watching you, and I need to come watch you now, but I remember watching you the first time and then not seeing you and then watching you again. And I was like, okay. And then watching you again. And it's like, and those are leaps. Comfortable, you find your own voice, and this is where it gets to the show part.
Right.
You find your voice, you find who you are.
Yeah.
If you sound like Kevin Hart, I'll just get Kevin Hart. I don't need you.
Yeah. That's what happened in music a lot. People would make Neptune's beats, and like, why would we pick these?
Yeah, these are just cheaper Neptunes. Yeah,
and then we get their brand and everything. And for else, like, this is not. People think that's like a way. But it's not. It's not. It gets in the way.
It's counterproductive. Exactly.
Yeah, we already have one of those.
Who are you? And even if you do get mild success, you'll never get real success.
No.
The real success, and we're looking at someone like a Joey Diaz, just finding and cultivating his voice so much, then an explosion because he found his voice.
And he has access. Like, there's no gatekeepers. Like, I don't want to name names, but there's several amazing, like, comedians that no one would give specials recently.
Yeah, of course.
Like, amazing. Like, you and I would like go see them like right now, wherever 100%. They were performing. And it's just because there's a lot to choose from.
There's a lot, and they look at all the other stuff.
Yeah, and they need to create their portfolio of stuff. And as these networks get more and more popular, they got to protect their brand and all these 100%. Decisions and stuff. But you're like, wow, like these are like 3 of my favorite comedians, and everyone.
Even someone like Ian Edwards, who just got a special recently.
Oh, Ian's amazing. Yeah.
And Ian's amazing. Ian is one of those comedians where comedians love this guy because he's so brilliant.
Yeah.
You know? And he just got his man. People are like, oh, you're new? It's like, yeah, after 25 years.
Yeah, and writing on every show you've ever liked.
So it's that's the where we live in. And, you know, it's interesting because a guy will go out on a Friday night and get rejected 3 times by girls and just be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever, you know, and become an incel, you know?
Yeah.
In comedy, in entertainment, you get rejected 100 times a day. And the worst part is it's with smiles. Yeah. It's not even with, ew, get away.
Well, this town, you can't say no because a no is a permanent bridge burning.
Exactly. It's just like, oh man, that was great.
Right.
Okay, we'll see.
Especially if you work for a company, because you don't want to be it's like you don't want to be the guy who passed on the thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And that happens. That happens.
Everyone in every art at some point was like, yo, what's up with that guy?
Yeah, everything sucks until it doesn't.
Yeah, but before it used to be protected. Now it's kind of out there. Yeah. So like, used to, no one would put out your record if it sucked. Now you have probably a history of like everything
you've ever done.
Everything you've done since you're 13 on SoundCloud. Yeah,
because before you could have deleted, you just didn't talk about it. People didn't have, unless the 5,000 people who bought it when you were handing it out.
Or when you're burning CDs.
Exactly.
Yeah, that guy threw it away.
If they don't have it, there was no proof that ever came out.
Yeah.
Now you're locked in.
Right.
They remember. Everyone, the memories. That's why even a Kevin Hart gets in trouble for something he said 12 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's permanent. And no one like, I think some people were smart enough to be like, oh, this is probably going to stay around forever. Sure. But like most people were like, yeah, no one's going to check this. Boom.
Yeah. And even when you delete, it's still there. Yeah. You know, it's still there.
Someone screen capped
Someone
it.
Kept it just in case.
This. Yeah. Watch what he thinks is gone.
100%.
He thinks it's going to be cute when when hating hats turns out to be a bad thing.
Exactly. Hating hats is the new N-word. Right. Boom. Oh, you hate hats, huh? I know what you really mean.
What's up?
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's very difficult and it's an intricate game. Do I recommend it to people? No. And yes.
Yeah.
It's everything and nothing.
It's like you have to, for some people, you just have to do it.
100%.
Like then there's no other option.
LA is a city where, when I said New York, you get good, LA, you get famous.
Yeah.
A good actor might audition 5 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
As a comedian, we audition 5 times a week. Every time you get up, you're auditioning. You don't know who's in the audience, especially in LA, especially at the big clubs.
That's always what's hard. Like, because you kind of want to always put in a couple of jokes will do well because you don't know who's watching.
Exactly. And that's actually something that comes up with me at the Laugh Factory is I have a lot of repeat audience members.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of new audience members.
Right.
You
can't play to one or the other.
I can't play to one or the other. Yeah. Exactly. I have to mix it in.
Yeah.
And I have to know this joke will kill, but this I need to work.
Yeah.
And that's why the road is so great, because on the road you can work.
Yeah. You can just keep, and like the good bits get even better on the road.
100%.
I did a bunch of shows in Utah, and I was doing like, I wanted to show the club I could do this, and they gave me some more dates, which was the right move.
Amazing.
But I was like, oh wow, these are getting actually better, and because I'm being able to work them out and do them over and over,
you're
night after
trimming
night.
The fat.
You're like, oh, I got a new tag here, or like this transition's better. And
exactly.
Like, oh, okay, so you can still work on the classics.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
In anything, whether it's sports, music, simply working at Kinko's. Practice makes perfect.
Copy.
There's no other way to do it. There's no way to skip ahead of the line. There's no natural talent.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, no one's naturally talented enough for an hour special.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about goals. Like we tried to like leave here with a good goal that you try to achieve this year. So someone in your position who already got a good show, already doing stuff, like what are things you're like, this year 2020 I want to do
more
me?
Exposure. So my number one goal this year is to get more TV. I need to be on TV more.
That's a good goal.
I need to focus on
like the
TV.
Classic TV.
Exactly. I need to be on TV, or not even Netflix. You know, I would love to be on Netflix
as an actor or comedian, or both.
As both. It's all part of the package.
Because you've done some acting, right?
I have. And recently I was in a movie that's doing pretty decent in the award arena. Typecast. Dane Cook actually directed it. Seth Green's in it. It's a bunch of people.
Okay, cool.
But I need to do more of that. I've been focusing on comedy and comedy shows that I neglected that side. And that's how you get on, because people see you on Big Bang Theory. Now they're coming to your shows.
It helps the draw equation.
It's all part of the same package. It really is. So that's my immediate goal, is TV.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be in a commercial or two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's time. It's time for me to do it. I've always neglected that stuff. I've been I'm doing comedy, but this is all part of it too.
Right. I just got a commercial agent.
That's
this guy.
Up.
This guy hit me up at a show. He's like, "Oh, dude, do you ever thought about doing commercials?" I was like, "No." Like, well,
you have a great look for stuff, especially now.
They're like, this
ethnically
is
ambiguous.
You could play ambiguous guy. I'm like,
exactly.
All right,
that's the way to go now.
Hold you to this goal for getting on. I
need
TV
to get on TV.
Year.
That's
I love it.
That's my big goal this year.
We'll see Tehran on TV. Come to his show Monday. It'll be the evening of this release.
Yeah, Mondays and Thursdays, 9:45. Just come to show. And if you find me on social media at IAM Tehran, TEHRAN. So that's at IAM TEHRAN. If you find me on social media, I will put you on the guest list.
Love it. See, this is why this guy does well. He's always promoting, knows how to reach the fans. Go see his show. It's one of the best in LA. And let's get some lunch.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, later.